Amid the growing humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza, a trickle of fuel will begin to enter Gaza from the Rafah border crossing. That decision coming from Israel's war cabinet.
The War Cabinet agreed to a special request by the United States to supply 2 tankers per day for the wastewater treatment facilities in the Gaza Strip, which are facing collapse due to the lack of electricity and the lack of the ability to operate the sewage and water systems operated by UNRWA. This fuel is meant for the treatment of sewage to avoid the spread of diseases. We fear for our soldiers operating inside Gaza. That's why we do not wish to see an outbreak. Any outbreak will undermine our war operations.
While the government insists the fuel will be utilized by the United Nations and vows it will not end up in the hands of Hamas, that hasn't stopped far right-wing politicians from lashing out. Like Finance Minister Bezalel Smotrich, who released a statement saying, "Allowing fuel into Gaza is a grave mistake and against the cabinet's decision. It reflects weakness, it's giving oxygen to the enemy, and it allows Sinwar to sit in an air-conditioned bunker comfortably, watch the news, and continue to manipulate Israeli society and the families of the hostages." And National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who said, "Once again, policy decisions are approved in the War Cabinet, something that leads Israel to a wrong conception. As long as our abductees don't even get a visit by the Red Cross, there is no sense to give the enemy humanitarian gifts. It's a finger in the eye for IDF soldiers, the bereaved families, and the families of the missing and abducted." While internal divisions may not yet pose a political threat to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he's also faced growing outrage over how he and his government are handling the issue of securing the release of Israeli captives still being held in Gaza. Their family members and relatives have been demonstrating for days, making their way from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem.
We are marching here today to Jerusalem. Hundreds of families and thousands of people come join us to Jerusalem, hear our shout, bring them back home now. The whole world shout with us, bring them back home now.
In Israel, outrage, both political and personal, expanding in equal measure. Mohammed, Jamjoom, Al Jazeera, occupied East Jerusalem.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.